This morning, I'd like to welcome Manish Pancholi from the AquaMetro Group to this Business Spotlight interview series. Welcome, Manish.
Thank you, Phil.
Manish, can you just maybe introduce what it is that your business does?
We are an integrated service provider. So at AquaMetro, we specialized in utility sector, and if I narrow down in a water industry, so we deal with all water and wastewater infrastructure. We build treatment plants, we build pump stations, we design and construct pipeline. We do relining, rehabilitation, maintenance of water and sewer lines. So we build water, wastewater infrastructure for our water clients. And right now we are on a journey to expand that service offering into the other utility sectors, being the power and renewable energies.
Oh, fantastic. And whereabouts are you located and what sort of geographic area does the business cover?
Business right now covers all metro and Melbourne Metro, but also it goes all the way to the west in Werribee, but also in the southeast, we cover all the way up to the Mornington Peninsula.
Oh, fantastic.
So it's a quite large footprint. And we got all the northern suburbs as well, the projects in Winnickeys. Our headquarters is in Keysborough right now. We also got an office in Darrimut that we use that to operate our Western Division. And we also got the depot at the Eastern Treatment Plant and Western Treatment Plant.
Right. Okay. So that's quite a large footprint then. And how long has the business been operating for, Manish?
The business was started in 2012 on the back of the work that we had with the Southeast Water on a small reactive maintenance, and we did some work with Yarraville. And then in 2017, we got our first major program with Melbourne Water. So until January last year, business was all built on that major Melbourne Water program of works.
Okay, fantastic. And when you think about the types of customers or clients that you have, who would make an ideal client for your business?
Look, we look at, when we talk about client, we look at about partnership. You know, for us, it's about understanding the client needs. So we appreciate open and honest discussion on what the needs are. How do we fit in with our solution-based approach, whether it's a technology or people or design, and then how we can help them achieving their goals. So we see as an organization, we take pride in driving solutions for our client. So we really work in an open, honest environment, so where there's a greater level of collaboration, transparency, and ability to work together with the client in a partnership type model instead of the master slave is where we really operate at optimum. Okay.
Now thank you for that. Now, what's the biggest challenge that you're facing in the business right now?
Look, there'll be a number of that, Phil, I would say. But if I really have to pin it down, a couple of major challenges right now is we are on a growth journey. And we have a vision of growing our business in diversifying our service offering and diversifying our customer base. And with that, it comes a challenge of having the right people in the business, not losing the essence of who we are, and still being agile, effective, and being close to the customers in delivering the outcome. So that's a real challenge. And in the market right now, in a big building, Victoria particularly, you know, there's a scarcity of the right resources. And we want to make sure that we have the right pool of people who has the right value set and right cultural fit to embark on this journey.
I think that you know, what you've just outlined there is very, very important in business. It's not always about the qualification. Sometimes it's about how are they going to fit in with our culture.
That's right.
I think that that's a really important aspect. What's the biggest learning that you've actually had since you've been in business?
The learning is always, it's a continuous learning. I think that, as they say, the day you stop learning, I think, you're doing probably disservice or injustice to yourself. But there's a lot of learning comes about. When I joined the business, this is probably the first time that I'm fully embedded into a smaller business, right? My background is working for the large infrastructure companies. So one of the great learning I had to go through is when we talk about small businesses, there's a culture of, there's a family feel to it. And when you're on a journey of transformation, you want to keep that culture intact. You want to keep that knowledge intact with people. So I had to work really hard in understanding what drives people, in smaller businesses, what motivates people, being with them, being out there, and understanding and engaging and learning to make sure this transition has their buy-in, that they're part of the journey, they're valued, and we are growing doesn't mean we're leaving the old legacy behind, So that's that was a great learning, because the organizational success, we talk about people are a great asset, right? And you can't do anything without people. So it was important for me to take everybody on a journey. And that was my great learning here. And I really enjoyed the process.
And so, when you started to take people on that journey, how did you actually approach that? How did you actually go about that and implementing that into the system?
Look, I always believe that it's before you ask and demand anything, you've got to be prepared to give. And for me, it was an important time of me being out there in a business, wanting to learn and understand how they working. What do they feel it's important to them? How do they see this business growing? What motivates them? And being out there with them, right? Rather than being in an office and just sending emails or setting a 3 years plan. I didn't rush in to prepare my vision. I didn't rush in to prepare the plan. I wanted to take my time. In the first few months was about just going out there, going out on every side, engaging with people, learning as much as I can learn about them and connections. And then understanding, okay, where we want this business to go, and having that open sessions with them. Let them develop what the plan would look like and have their say in it and a vision, and then coming up with something that everybody has their buy-in. But what was important after that is a clarity. What we establish from then on is a clarity in our mission, our purpose, why we exist, what we do, and why we do and what we do. So it was a really important process. It's about engaging, learning, then formulating, and then having a clarity. So right now, if you ask anybody, I can assure you, and I take pride in that everybody will know what our purpose is and why we stand and who we are. So that's the part about bringing clarity in and having a 3 years plan. But before that, there was a journey of learning.
Fantastic. And what was the most important message or feedback that they actually gave you?
What I found in the journey that they were not all, there was no resistance or objection to the growth. I think they in fact encouraged the business growing. They felt that there was a need for it. They felt that they needed someone to give the direction. But what they wanted to make sure is that, are we still going to remain family business? And I had to unwrap that, right? Because you can't dilute the being a family business to being professional, efficient, and put your best foot forward. So I had to really unwrap what does that mean. And it came down to accessibility. It came down to less to no bureaucracy, no red tape. It came down to if they need something, can they still call and reach out or knock the door? Are we going to put more processes in as we become professional organization? And are we going to put more layers of paperwork in? So once I knew all that, I knew that what we're going to do to make sure that that essence is not lost. The flexibility in the workplace, they don't have to go and worry about if they need to go for a medical appointment in the afternoon. That's what we want to make sure that the business is all about. But at the same time, there's a clarity on expectation. There is an accountability. We hold each other all accountable, and I put myself out there and I tell them to hold me accountable for my actions. So we don't dilute that our purpose, efficiency, accountability to what the family values are, and being flexible and accessible, and making sure that we don't have those red tape.
Absolutely fantastic, Manish. And it sounds like, yeah, that must have been a very interesting process for you to go through. Not only learning from the team members, but also learning about yourself. So what was the most important thing that you learned about yourself through that process?
It made me a better human being, Phil. And I keep saying that the workplace throughout my journey has really made me over the years a better person.
Yes.
And you learn through every interaction, you learn through all the journey that you go through it, and really starts putting people in perspective. You know, when you deal with people who are real, raw, you're dealing with a lot of emotions. You know, business is not about numbers. I always say business is about people. And when you connect with them, you realize that your purpose of being here is to make sure that they're looked after. You know, there's an empathy.
Yes.
In the way you deal with it. You put people in the center of every decision-making process. You listen to them, and really made me a better person. And I've got 2 kids at home. My daughter, 8 years old, and Kiana, and my son's 3 years old, Vian. And like, they teach me every day. But when I go home, I am a better person now than I used to be 14, 15 months before. So that's a great learning for me in terms of how the business has helped me being a better person.
Well, congratulations on that, Manish. That's a great outcome for everybody involved. So well done.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I guess just in terms of, starting to wind this interview up then, is what does the future look like, and what do you see as the main challenges moving forward for your industry?
The future of the industry is bright. You know, we part of the core essential services that as the humankind and the mankind develop, you're still going to need you'll be more people on the planet. The infrastructure requirement, it comes with this, the water, power, sewer, all the utility needs are going to be there. So the future is absolutely bright. I think the challenge will need to be in terms of how do you tackle that growth, because with growth, your customer expectations are growing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody wants a high quality service than they used to be probably 10 years before, 15 years. Understanding of what good looks like is now increased significantly. So everybody is wanting quality service, but at the same time at optimum price.
Yes.
So there is a gap between what the budget is to deliver the services and expectations are. And that's where I think our role is to come in through the solution, through the smarts, through the innovation, through the efficiency, experience. How do we deliver the services for the customers at the optimum price without taking shortcuts? But there is a challenge there. And it's a challenge that an organization like us, an Australian-owned smaller organization, we don't have the big balance sheet behind us. So the growth journey to consolidate, it's going to be a challenge. And same with the utility sector, is developing the smaller players so they can be competitive and have that ability to serve all the needs. So you're not putting all eggs in one basket. Mm-hmm. It's also helping Australian economy. It's tying, the businesses, because we employ all local workforce. Everything we are is 100% Australian in terms of the business and where the money stays. So for the utility sector, the challenge would be to meet the demand. How do you develop these small players? And they're doing it really well through the partnership type model, that they can have an option to deliver that services. The other one is to really finding the balance in sustainability. When we talk about being sustainable, I think the utility water industry in particular is definitely taking big strides in that. But there's still going to be a huge challenge when we address these climate issues. How do we become more sustainable? And that's beyond carbon emissions. That's beyond just ticking the box. That's about creating a sustainable organization. That's beyond me. That's creating an organization that has the inclusive and diverse workforce, that everybody feels valued and welcome.
Yes.
That's focusing on our First Nation, indigenous communities and giving them an opportunity for making a difference for the generations to come. And that's bringing some smart solutions, being it the electric vehicle, being it the green hydrogen energy, being it any hybrid solutions that really helps minimizing or limiting the footprint of our impact. So there are some of the challenges when you put all together in how do we become more sustainable and how do we transition from our traditional approach to the more sustainable approach.
Yes, fantastic. And look, thank you for sharing that. It's something I was recently involved in a summit in regional Victoria about what some of the biggest issues were that regional Victoria was facing. And the number one thing that came up was infrastructure. Is that a lot of the regional larger regional towns, even smaller ones for that instance, can't expand anymore because they can't support any more growth internally because they don't have the infrastructure of water, sewerage, that's absolutely critical for any town, suburb, whatever it may be. So, I would certainly agree that your industry has a very bright future in front of it.
Absolutely.
All right, Manish, is just as any final words of wisdom that you might have for somebody that may be watching this video about business?
Look, I'm probably still learning and I keep learning, so I'm not big enough to give advice to anybody. But if I share my journey, I think one of the things I really learned from one of my great friend, Victor Pardon, recently, but it's always in me. But he really realized that for me and the team here is about being optimistic, so there's, whether it's a business or life, there's always going to be ups and downs. There are challenges, and the life is not without challenges. But it's about having that belief in you, belief in people around you, and staying optimistic. And it really helps in terms of embarking on the journey and driving the outcome. But when you are optimistic, it really rubs onto the people, and that aura and energy creates the group of like-minded people really making a difference, and you're enjoying the journey a lot more. So being optimistic, staying optimistic, and having an optimistic outlook is my little wisdom, or share the journey that I'm on at the moment.
Great words of wisdom. And if anybody has never heard of Victor Purdon, I encourage you to actually check out his website. He is the man of optimism. He is Mr. Optimism.
Absolutely.
And, all right. Thank you so much for your time today, Manish. And I wish you well on your journey with what you're trying to achieve in business.
Thank you, Phil, and appreciate inviting me and letting me share the journey. I appreciate that. Thank you.